people is really important. And if you look at not just only community, the most of the time you spend around the people, basically similar mindset you have, and the ideas you share, and the thinking you adopt, and the way of working. So that is really important, and most of the communities sustain because of the people and how their willingness to share and learn together. That is one of the biggest feedback, at least still I maintain.
Hi, folks. Welcome back to another episode of Make It Happen Online podcast. My name is Hanuj. I'm CEO and co founder at Miho. We help knowledge entrepreneurs like you to create, grow, and manage online business. As a part of this initiative of podcast by Miho, we are actually trying to help you learn various aspects of doing business online by speaking to experts who have done this already. Today, we have Madhu on call with us. He has been a security expert. He has also built a lot of communities from scratch, be it tech, be it non tech, and has reached a good amount of engagement on those communities as well. So today we'll speak up more about his journey to reaching the level that he is today, and also about how he's built community and how he's grown over the time. So over to you, Madhu. Can you quickly make it your introduction?
Sure, but first of all, thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate that. Myself, Madhu Akula. I've been in the security communities and in most of the work I have been doing is for almost nearly 10 years. Most of my career started with the infrastructure and operations and automation side, and I slowly started doing vulnerability research, like finding security issues in the applications and companies like a bug bounty hunter or a hacker. But I kind of shifted the gears towards like working with large scale companies, building their infrastructures in an automated fashion. uh, Fortunately, I was able to also involve alongside with communities from since early days. Like I still remember Null is one of the biggest community I joined, and still I've been accredited with them. I started a chapter back in Dharamshala that time. It was super fun to see like how I learned, and I still keep learning from that, and which kind of teaches not only technical skills, I think a lot of non-technical things as well. Then after that, I kind of started working with a lot of different communities, like all the DevOps. I think I've been working with them almost nearly since their beginning. This is one of the largest world's conference on DevOps and security. Then I started working with OWASP, Usenix, AWS, Community Builder, CNCF, and Nullcon, bunch of other things. Uh, then apart from that, I used to do a lot of knowledge sharing, which means by doing trainings and speaking engagements. I've been fortunate to speak at like a lot of conferences like a Black Hat, DEF CON, Usenix, and OWASP, Null, and a bunch of other security conferences around the globe, which kind of teaches me to like learn a lot through these communities and also share with them, so that we kind of build a really strong people, and how you can use that knowledge as a way to grow your career, and people around that as well. And been written some book as well, security automation with Ansible with the co-author Akash, and been reviewer after that, and started working with a lot of large scale companies in a different various roles. Now kindly I kind of working on my own company I created back in the Netherlands. I run like a simple niche consulting and services, and also building some kind of open source projects, focusing on cloud native security, Kubernetes, and container ecosystem.
Interesting, interesting. And I would just like to inform everyone that Madhu is based out of Netherlands as of now. And what time is it there, Madhu? What have you been keeping you awake a little bit more?
No, I'm sorry. I think I made you a bit late. I think it's here afternoon 1 o'clock, but I think for
Oh,
you
is
it's
it?
most probably late for you.
It's
Sorry.
just 5:30 over here, so it's like
Yeah.
normal working hour for us, that's for sure. Very, very interesting to know, Madhu. We also hosted Anant a few weeks back,
Oh,
and
nice. Okay.
he's also been a speaker at a couple of conferences, what we were talking about as well. But I would like to know more from the angle of how did you start this journey? Because the journey that you talked about had multiple elements. You have been a speaker, you also worked professionally, you also created your own community, you grew at a scale. Now you're also an open source promoter. Would you want to double down on how did you switch your careers over the time?
Yeah, sure. I think to just go back, mostly I think one of the still thing I maintain from the beginning till today is keep learning new things. I think that makes me a bit busy and be happy. So I kind of try out new things when it comes out and like do hands-on and like see how I can figure it out. Right. So when I started, I think mostly in college, I used to be mostly playing around system administration like Linux and mostly like playing around networking areas, which is super fun because that's where I was like learning a lot of things. Then when I started learning more like using them in applicability of defense, then that's where I introduced to security, right? The one thing I started building is I can learn a lot, but I don't think I can learn myself a lot of things if I wanted to be good at. So I wanted to see people already solve some of the things, so I can look up to them, like what are the things they learn. Maybe I just need to understand and get mentorship from them, or like read their blogs or read their work, so it helps me to gain more knowledge. And then once I started doing that, I kind of built a lot of people, like a network that is really important in a networking. It doesn't matter whether you working for a company, whether you wanted to build your own business or something. So that helps you to know, okay, even if you don't know something, you can reach out to someone else, and even if they don't know, they know someone who is good at that area. So that kind of helps a long run way. Then after that, I kind of introduced and joined a very early stage company, Payatu. I think they run the conference Nalcon back in India, and they're some of the people who is part of Nal. So I said, okay, maybe I don't wanted to not only just do a thing, I wanted to see how I can contribute. So I took an initiative to start a chapter back in Dharamshala. It's in India, like in Himachal Pradesh. So it was super fancy place, and like, okay, it's a nice. Maybe I'll start like doing this. Then the one really great opportunity was a lot of people was super interested to join because it's completely new area in that time for them. Then okay, I said we will share the knowledge, and also we will start improving that knowledge over the time.
But but sorry to interrupt over here, but like starting it in an odd place, like
Yeah,
calling it fancy is like trying to undervalue the hardships. I would like to talk about the hardships because having people actually joining that communities in such regions is more difficult as compared to any other region, right? Like if you build a community in Ahmedabad or Bangalore, you'll have 100 participants from day.
yeah.
It's quite possible. Having it in Dharamshala is difficult. How did that go? Like, can you walk us through that?
Sure, sure. I think that is super fun story. Yeah, I think I 100% agree with you. It's super hard to build in such places because most people come for tourism, not for like doing some
Exactly.
security or fancy stuff. So one added advantage was Null is like a global community at that time. So like we used to have chapters in Hyderabad, Bangalore, all over the world. I mean, it's all over India that time. The good thing is Dharamshala is a very fancy place. Like you have Himalayas and a very nice thing. So what we started is we try to identify at least known interested people, like something whom we see similar mindset and they want to learn and grow. So we started with very small, to be honest. I think I still have the pictures of them in the Facebook or somewhere. Then we used to literally make them jealous, like by posting the photos of Himalayas where we do like cool talks and discussion. So even we made people to come from all over the way, Delhi. People used to come and present for us just to see the place and enjoy the thing. And also we even attracted people from citizen labs from all over the Canada. They used to come and present there for us. So it was super nice to see that, like how we made them like a valuable to the world, and the way we showcase the place, because that is what our advantage, right? But it was super fun time, and we
I
started
think
seeing the
this
people
this brings
keep
out
on
a
coming.
very this brings out a very interesting thing that everyone should know is you should always play with your strength rather than
Yeah.
finding out the weaknesses. It's a weakness, okay. Like what are the strengths? Let's play with that, and probably that would one. And other the second thing is a $0 marketing, right? You didn't
Yeah.
spend anything, but you still made it of enough value to people that they were able to understand that they're missing out on something, creating that
True.
new word called FOMO among folks and bringing them there. That's quite interesting. When was
No,
the
no, no, you are spot on, sir. That is exactly right. True.
when was the first conference that you did in Dharamshala? What year was that?
It's I would say it's not conference. It's more like community. I mean, so we do a lot of meetups and events. It was in back in 2013, I believe.
Pre pre Geo era,
Yeah,
what we call
so
it
that
like.
is another
Yeah,
fun time. So we used to never have internet there using broadband or something. We used to all
yeah,
work on wireless. So it's a rural area, so you have to transfer the internet using like only wireless. So
yeah.
that was super fun. Yeah.
True, true, true. I just entered my college in 2013 and I didn't have any
Uh,
money. I did that small. Nokia Symbian phone. Symbian OS used to be a thing back then. Now
Yeah,
it's way different, right?
that's
Interesting.
awesome.
And can you tell me more about how, like, how did you devise the vision and purpose of this community? Because that's the core, right? Starting out with the community is like a thing, but then
Yeah.
developing the right direction for the community is a second goal about it. How did you build that around?
Yeah, to be honest, I think this he's been there. Null is there for a while. I'm just building another chapter and helping that to grow and share the knowledge. So they have really good mindset. I think even they registered as a non-profit still today. So it kind of has a proper vision how it has to be completely free and it has to share some knowledge to the people in an open way. And also, it's more like we try to keep it more hands-on or real world way. Like people used to speak from companies like who is working in like large scale industries like bigger companies and also people who is coming from college also so that is what very clear at least with the community itself when they started so that helped us to drive forward in the null case but I have been part of definitely other communities like for example aws community builders as well like which is one of the large scale run by the aws and also obasp and a bunch of other right so those has specific guidelines and formats but this is much more open community in that compared to because I have seen different variations of communities throughout my career. That is one thing still I really like about Null. I carry forward with most of the companies. Like I used to work and head a lot of companies, security teams previously in my career. So there we kind of apply this same thing, but in a different approach in organizations. So we used to have a lot of engineering teams, like very smart people, and security on the other hand, just like able to find issues and like report them so we used to implement similar kind of mindset where we run like guilds or like some people call us meetups or champions, bunch of different naming. So what we do is we kind of run same events. Okay, there is a war story, someone fixed the issue in the engineering. Why don't we share this in a hands-on way? So we kind of build this competitive and collaborative mindset within the organizations. It helps not only just in the outside world, within the companies, it helped us to transform a lot because biggest concern with engineering is security people doesn't want to learn new adoption of technologies and that's a big gap between technology and security engineering culture so we used to bridge that gap by building this kind of collaborative thing I think at least I have seen so worked very well at least in the two companies I worked yeah, I think this kind of learning not only just in the public way you can take back and take the key ideas or concept and apply in different places to be honest
Interesting. So
yeah.
what is the largest community that you've built till date? Like, what was the strength?
To be honest, most of them I never built as a from scratch. Mostly, I might have been part of them and continued them and helped them grow. The maybe one project I have built is like a Kubernetes code. One of the project I maintain in the GitHub, which basically helps in a large scale, mostly in the throughout the world, about teaching Kubernetes security in an open way, in a hands-on and interactive way. I don't know, definitely nearly stats. It might have 1.5 million downloads so far. I mean, a lot of companies also use that project in a way to learn their product effectiveness also for example like I have seen Microsoft Defender research team use that to test if their products really can able to detect these capabilities so
Wow.
it's not only just helps individuals like people who is wanted to learn and also in the companies to take this feedback and how it sharpens or like improves their product effectiveness that's what I see I mean say it's not that we try to keep in one intention at the end it helps a lot of people that's what like we see in the end.
True, true. So, what would be a few things that you would want to tell people out there, like what is the ABC of a community? Like, if in case we talk about that, that's the core strength you've built over the year. Apart from security being a top player on it, obviously. So if you
Yeah.
talk about community, what are the top three things that, or three or four things that you would want? Like, what will be the step one, two, three of the community building to start with?
Yeah, I don't know. It's you put me in tough situation. I don't know how exactly, but the one thing is definitely I think people is really important. And if you look at not just only community, the most of the time you spend around the people. Basically, it's a similar mindset you have, and the ideas you share, and the thinking you adopt, and the way of working. So that is really important, and most of the community sustain because of the people and how their willingness to share and learn together that is one of the biggest feedback at least still I maintain And the second thing is, I think, also working with different kind of diversity, right? So if I am coming from maybe security background, I might be always thinking in that direction. Some people coming from like maybe engineering background, they come and they bring their own values. And some people may be working with a lot of startups, they bring different experience. Some people working in large scale, they might bring different experience. So this diversity of not just one thing, this helps a lot to add value, because each one cannot bring everything to the community. See, everyone has their own strengths and things to bring onto the game, right? So that is extremely added value when we all come together and start solving or building some knowledge and share with the people. And I think last thing is fun. I think without fun, there is not gonna go happen like a long run. Make sure you don't feel like okay, it's another company job or something. You always have fun, like share whatever the things you wanted to do. That's always works, I
Interesting, interesting.
think.
Nice. So, you have had an experience in teaching and training also. You didn't talk much about it. What was that?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I definitely have been teaching for quite long time. Since my college, I used to do a lot of trainings for little corporates, as well as I used to even train Indian Navy back in when I was in college on certain security and Linux areas of the thing. I think almost more than 10 years I've been teaching for various, from college students to corporates to governments. And now I actually teach a large scale audience. So most of my career has been in such a way, because I try to learn a lot of new things. The one way I feel learning new things is trying to teach, because that gives me an opportunity to be good at that. Like, okay, this is what I have to teach them. I need to know if something asks. It doesn't mean I need to know everything. Maybe something I might not know. I have seen extremely really good cases, especially even in recent Black Hat and DEFCON. One of the students from DEFCON has found a new issue within the class when I'm trying to teach that subject, right? So that helps us to be very humble, and which means we learn a lot from other people as well when we are trying to teach. And the one thing started was because I have to keep learning and teaching. So I started doing a lot of trainings back in college to teach. And after that, I used to work with companies where I used to teach in large scale conferences, varying from meetups in the Bangalore to conferences in India like Nalcon, Kokan, or SACCON, or I don't know, and to globally like Black Hat, DEFCON, Usenix, OWASP, All DevOps, I think SANS, bunch of other, like literally all over the world. So that one thing I keep it to myself, to be honest. Even though if I join a company, I literally ask them a first question: can I still be continue doing my own work, like which means speaking at conferences, doing my own thing? Because that is one thing very priority for me. Given looking at back my career, it helped me to grow where I am today, and also helps me to build more people and know a lot of things, right? That is one thing I kind of keeping doing every year. I try to speak at least share my knowledge and learn from a lot of people and teach them at these conferences. Some of them commercial, definitely. That's how I make money. But I keep the same quality and things when I'm even trying to share the knowledge with the open community and projects which I build. So yeah, I think it helped me personally, professionally, financially, and learning as well. To be honest, yeah.
So, so you mentioned that you also ask the companies that you work with that you continue working with your
Mhm.
own side projects stuff like. How is it? How has been the hit or miss ratio? How many companies have disagreed?
Yeah, that's a really great question.
Because a
So
lot of people who are watching this podcast right now
yeah,
are still willing to get started, right? Like
true.
they're not sure if where to start from, but it's always like you start small and then take it to a larger step, right? You cannot just leave all of your work that you do today and earn
Yeah.
nothing and then start a course of yours. That takes a lot of time to scale, right? So how has been the hit and miss ratio? How many companies have been accepting to that fact?
No, no, that's a really great question. I think when I just started my career, I think I used to work with very large scale company in the world, like extremely large, you can think. So I don't want to put the name, but that's one of the. So that is where I saw, like, I did a really great research, which is that time not many companies or even products out there. So I said, okay, this is super cool. Let me go and present this research to all over the world, like in conferences and so bigger companies has a bigger problems. I mean, so it's not to blame the company. To be honest, they have their own privacy and legal risks as well. So they don't want to share this research to the world unless it's maybe patented, going through legal process and other things. So that is one of the hiccup definitely I had. That is one reason I had to change my career to different things as well. But definitely it doesn't mean it's not a good or bad thing. Even now, if I look back at after that, most of the companies has been agreed, and it's in a way, like you said, right, again, play with the strengths. I always try to put it in such a way when I ask the company, okay, it definitely helps you company to hire the really good talent. Like I was hiding the Miro product security. Okay, we were going to build a really strong team because we speak at a lot of these communities, and people wanted to join these kind of companies because they go and share this knowledge research. And also it helps me to grow personally, which is one of the really important thing. And most of the companies actually way benefited than other way around. So that's after I have seen, I don't want to definitely again name this one. I went and had a chat with one of the largest, I think, in the world, like fintech company, which they run like literally the insanely secure transactions. I think they would be super happy. They said like, "Oh, you can definitely do your own things," and I'm super surprised because financial companies never wanted to do these things, and that is such a large scale company. I never imagined. They said it's completely fine because that brings them value. So that is one thing you should be definitely open and see them how you add value to the company or business than like not only just be personal. So I think after that I didn't see any companies seeing this as a negative thing, but it helped them a lot to bring much more value in a longer run.
Interesting, interesting. So in fact, I was speaking to someone from the education industry as a couple of days back. He joined a very large conglomerate. Again, I wouldn't want to name them. They
Yeah.
recently got funded and stuff like that. His company got actually acquired by this big larger giant, and he was like, I now feel stuck because at my company I didn't have any processes, so it made me easier to generate a lot of content, I'll monetize a lot of things and
Yeah.
go the way, and also at the same time stick to my own essence of doing something the way I want to do it and the way my students would benefit from it.
Yeah.
But since I've joined this bigger company and since they have a lot of money and they want to manage the flow of the money, they have put process in every single thing. So the place where I was recording 7 videos, now I'm recording two. Uh,
Nice.
and it has changed. Like I'm getting paid more, but I'm doing less
Yeah.
work. And it's wonderful. So now what I'll do, I'll build a community and I'll probably grow my community. I will, boss, this is like playing with the strengths, but also making sure that you are sane at the same time, right? It,
Yeah. No, I
it
mean, so that really makes sense. Given if you look back at the industry now, everyone is becoming developer advocates, and developer advocacy become mainstream and evangelism because these are paid jobs now in the companies to do build your reputation in the open source communities, in the conferences market, right? Think of this as a marketing for the company in a technical fashion. You don't go and build a sales team, marketing team. You build a really smart technical people trying to share whatever the company is doing or research you wanted to build in a more technical fashion where engineers and developers understand, so they are the talking to real people who is you're going to be your customers, right? And another way to think is like maybe this is not only just from the company, right? You build your niche. If you look at individual perspective, so you might not need to produce 10 videos. Even if you produce 2 videos, and if you are really targeting to someone who is smart enough and paying high value of money, you don't need to teach like 10 rupees or something like a large thing, 10 US dollar, right? You charge 100, but you are doing very quality thing or very niche thing, right? So I've seen at least so many people who is becoming into indie hacking or indie hackers. They move into this direction. They don't want to build a bigger teams or bigger companies. To be smart and be one man show or like solopreneur, but still like build the niche of your field or something like that, I think. Yeah.
Interesting. So, since we're moving towards the end of this episode, I would like to focus on two things. One,
Sure.
would be what are the top 10 security or five security things that a person should keep in mind while hosting their courses on a different platform on an
Mhm.
LMS that they're probably trusting that LMS to help do everything. What are the couple of things that a person should keep in mind while doing so?
Yeah, I think this comes very tricky to be honest. Definitely, LMS platforms added a lot of value for both the companies as well as individuals. If you look back, it used to be, I think, more integrated into, I don't know, Salesforce or some kind of metric systems in the companies. They track for the performance or the employee thing. But now it's been much more matured. But they don't only capture the way to just think about like, okay, this completed course or not, and how it is applicable into the systems, right? So if you look at security, security as an individual. If I am the person who is knowledge creator or content creator and I want to use the platform, for me the biggest thing is, okay, I'm trying to build a really smart thing and put my all efforts. How really is it like a safe and secure to put my content there so that someone doesn't copy and redistribute? So plagiarism is trying to solve in large scale in different variations in different mediums, not just content, right? I think the biggest thing is how I can trust this platform to keep all my hard work into that, right? So that is one thing you have to be definitely solving the problem, because if you wanted to build your own, you have to build everything from scratch. So you're trying to now trust and outsource the responsibility of things to the LMS platforms in that case. Second thing is you have much more added advantages with all these fancy things systems, right? Because now used to be much more what you call very different. If you go back and look at how the way people consuming content, there used to be integrated portals and all. Now it's not just you serve the companies, you serve individual, you serve the teams, you serve the people different direction. So these kind of LMS platforms will provide role based access, how you can give what level of control, like okay, he doesn't need to be like fully accessed and certain people has to be fully accessed, or how much segregation you are giving. And the value is so huge because you kind of no need to think about all this building yourself, you just trust them and taking over the LMS platform. And another biggest thing is building your community, right? So you kind of trying to teach a lot of people, maybe 10,000 people. Okay, tomorrow what is the goal? You teach them and leftover, right? So how do you carry forward these people and understand and build their trust, right? Because these people are going to be your customers, right? If you are someone building or going to build a business in that side, right? So how do you make sure they are in the right place and they kind of get the right value? I think I'm going completely outside to be honest with you, but I think mostly I'm trying to say that a lot of security risks will be reduced in the individual when it started handing over to LMS. If you look at LMS side, I think the biggest thing is they need to worry about content because they're literally responsible for all of the customers' content, which means not just them and the people who is using that content as well, because they have their login credentials and other things and all. So they need to be really careful about the data. I think that is one of the biggest concern, and how like companies like you, Miho, solve these problems to solve for a lot of customers, right? And how you properly help them to provide the logging, right? That is the biggest thing, because so many people maybe subscribe, removing and other things, how
Yeah.
visible they are, how valuable. It's not just thinking about security, more like a audience perspective. They know who is they are serving or catering towards, and who are the right audience to sell what they're really trying to reach and share. And apart from that, I think mostly how you can bring it all together, which means like both communication between the creator and the receiver, right? So the more it is easier feedback loops, the better it is, and their communication has to be secure, right? In a way, like how you communicate with them, how you share the knowledge together. I think these are some of the things I can think of, but definitely we can go a bit deep. But in a very high level, I think this would be super valuable for both of them.
And how important do you think is a LMS being GDPR compliant is?
Given me, I'm in Europe, yes, 100%. I think even like a lot of companies live about, I think this is started adopting this and pushing heavy towards this. I even recently saw DNS services itself we need to be GDPR compliant now, which means you can't just send the request outside. I would say definitely this a lot added value, especially given content wise, because I don't know about legal. I'm really sorry if I'm quoting wrong things, but basically the content itself might have some IP, or depends on the people how they are distributing, right? So it might have so much legal concern. So I think it's 100% very important thing. Yeah.
Interesting. Thanks, Madhu. Thanks a lot for sharing all your insights and how to build a community. What are the security things that one should keep in mind? And if GDPR as a huge word important or not.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for doing this. As a part of towards the end of this call, we just asked two last final quick questions. One is there a quote that stays with you always and that you strongly believe in?
Yeah, I think not just one. I think many, but in general, one thing I try to keep in myself is trying to learn most of the things and share with the people. I think that brings you new perspectives and more learning. So that is, I think, I generally call something called never-ending learner myself. So that is maybe one thing I keep myself to be followed or like adopted. Yeah.
And one book that you would recommend everyone to read as a content creator?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm very bad at reading books. So I don't know. Maybe I'm giving right one,
In
but
that
some of the
maybe podcast
yeah,
that you would want to recommend, anything that any material that you would
yeah,
recommend
sure.
people to learn from.
The podcast, I definitely have a lot of them. I listen to a lot of podcasts for a very long time. One of them is Knowledge Project by Sean Paris is really good, and India Hackers is really good, like the platform itself and the podcast. And in general, I think there are really good people who is building out there in Twitter and other places like building public methodology. So one thing is, I think being consistent and very concise. I mean, just simple and competitive is really important. I think there is a really good work by this guy. It's I forgot his name. Solo work, deep work also created by I forgot his name. Damn. So basically, I'll try to share them. So he kind of adopt this methodology. I think this is super useful for people to be really good at that area and be like their own niche. I think that helps a long run.
Sure. Nice. Thanks a lot for sharing all this insight, Madhu. Thank you for
Yeah.
joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.